Seven's a classically lucky number, so when you reach 7th level spells, be sure to follow this guide to help tilt those odds in your favor. Hello there everyone, and welcome back down here to the Gamer's Den with me, your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire, coming to you from here at the Nexus Librum, where we are going to be continuing our look at the 1st edition Pathfinder Arcanist, today going over their 7th level spells. And while we are not going to cover every single last spell, we are going to have a selection of some of the best spells for you to pick up and make regular use of over the course of your adventuring career, along with a few examples of some spells that are just kind of mechanically okay, or even an example of a spell that is ideal for you to avoid. However, it should be noted that even those spells that are just good to okay or even bad can end up being incredible in niche, unique situations, or with a bit of imagination, ideally a bit of both, because clever gameplay can do so much more for you than just the raw mechanics of a game. But that is also going to be very DM dependent, so never be afraid to experiment, play around, and just deviate from this guide and any other guide that you may be using. After all, it is your character, so you should be playing in a way that has the most fun for you. But before we get into everything that we have available for you today, if you're new here to the channel, go on down there, hit the subscribe button, and become a regular member here at the Gamer's Den. Or if you've already gone on ahead and listed yourself on that incredible roster of legendary heroes, then go on down to hit the like button and share the video far and wide. Now, let's go ahead and start digging into spells here. And first up, it's a classic. It's also an upgrade to a previously recommended spell. We are going to be talking about Greater Teleport. No wizard, sorcerer, arcanist, or any class that gets access to this should be left without it, as this will let you target self, objects, or willing targets up to 1 every 3 caster levels to travel instantly across unlimited range with no failure chance, with having just a good description of the area, and mishaps just lead to you reappearing where you tried to teleport from. So lots of safety features built into this, a great amount of travel range. This helps to shrink the world massively for you. This spell is just awesome, great for you to have. Your party will appreciate you for it. Next is Archon's Trumpet. Not always the most highly rated, but I do like this here. All creatures in a 30-foot cone burst must make a fortitude save or be paralyzed for 1d4 rounds. So the 1d4 rounds, that is a bit of a variation there, but it's a 30-foot cone burst, so you can end up catching a decent number of opponents in it, and having them paralyzed is going to render them essentially helpless, so that you or your allies can deal significant damage to them, perhaps even coup de grace and just putting an end to things right then and there. Not every creature will be vulnerable to paralysis, but you should still be encountering enough opponents who are that this should end up still remaining fairly useful for you. Then we go on to Waves of Exhaustion, probably one of the best spells you could pick up at this level. You cast this and you create a 60-foot cone that fire waves of negative energy over targets with no saving throw allowed, although spell resistance does apply. All targets in the area become exhausted, moving at 1/2 their speed and giving a -6 penalty to strength and dexterity. So this is going to be staggeringly bad for your opponents to have to deal with. I mean, exhaust is just a terrible debuff to have to deal with. The speed reduction is going to be a lot of your battlefield control, and a -6 penalty to strength and dex is going to hurt. That's an incredible amount of damage being pulled away from melee attackers. That's an incredible level of defense to be taking away from your opponents. You are going to do so much damage, and the fact that it's a 60-foot cone, you are going to catch many opponents with this, even lethal opponents, opponents that should be terrifying for you at this level are going to be severely impaired by this spell, especially with the no saving throw. That's probably the biggest kicker for all of this. Then we have Summon Monster 7. Summon 1d3 monsters from Summon Monster 6, or 1d4 plus 1 creatures from lower summon monster spells. Now you can summon such creatures as a Tyrannosaurus, Vrox, Greater Elementals, Behirs, or Daughter of the Dead, all different kinds of creatures with either incredible stats or incredible abilities to make use of. Greater Elementals in particular, you want to look at things like Air Elementals, since those are going to be able to fly, dealing with flying opponents, or being able to reposition themselves as needed to provide different kinds of flanking bonuses and the like. So overall, this is going to be an awesome spell for you to have, and if none of these creatures really quite fits, well, you can pull monsters from previous lists, and although they are going to be lower level and maybe not necessarily an immediate threat to your opponents, it's still extra bodies on the battlefield, extra actions going over to your side to help out, so you are not going to be all that negatively impacted by summoning creatures from lesser summon monster spells. Then, of course, we keep going. Next is Banishment. Great spell to have. It's a range of 25 feet plus 5 feet every 2 caster levels, and at this range you can banish up to 2 hit dice per caster level of extraplanar creatures, no 2 of which can be more than 30 feet apart. Spell resistance does apply here, but presenting an item or substance that the target hates, such as a silver holy item, fears or opposes, gives a +1 bonus on caster level checks to overcome spell resistance, and a +2 spell save DC added in on top of that. And remember, spending a point from your arcane reservoir that you can use for your arcane exploits will help to boost your caster level or the save DCs for the spell, helping to ensure that you are going to be able to banish your targets, and also increase the amount of hit dice that you're able to get rid of as well. So banishment, especially at 7th level when you are odds on going to be encountering extraplanar creatures, is going to be great to have in your back pocket. Then we also have Reverse Gravity. Select a 10-foot cube per caster level area at a range of 100 feet plus 10 feet every caster level to cause creatures and objects to fall upwards. Flying and hovering creatures can prevent this, and creatures that can grab onto something stable get a reflex save. However, creatures that meet a ceiling while falling upwards or another obstacle will take fall damage as normal. If you're in a cave and use this while there are stalagmites reaching down from the top, or is it stalactites? I mix those two up, but either case, you know what I'm talking about. Stone pillars reaching down, coming down to a point. If opponents are falling upwards into that, they are going to be taking more than just falling damage. They are getting impaled and are going to take a hefty amount of damage in the process. Reverse gravity is awesome. And also, those flying creatures and hovering creatures that are able to prevent this, if there's a bunch of loose objects falling straight up into the sky, they are going to be impacted by those as well. I once had a player use this, sending several heavy tables going upwards from a fairground, and it smacked into a griffin and did a fair bit of damage to it. It was fun. Now, for a spell that's maybe just kind of okay, we have Waves of Ecstasy. Catch enemies in a 30-foot cone-shaped burst, stunning them for 1 round and leaving them staggered for 1 round per caster level. If they succeed at a will save, they are only staggered. They skip the stunning effect. So why is this just kind of okay? I normally like stunning. Well, that's because at this level you are getting better effects. I mean, just even with the previous spells that we discussed, like Archon's Trumpet, you are at least going to be paralyzing opponents if you're catching them with that effect. And I just said it, you'd think I would remember. Waves of Exhaustion. If Waves of Exhaustion has a bigger area of effect and no save, and you are leaving all the targets within exhausted and staggered, at this level, not great, especially when you have previous level spells that can produce staggered effects, that can produce stunning effects. So you are better off dedicating a 7th level spell slot to one of the previous options, or any number of other options that are available on this list. And lastly, as an example example of a spell to avoid, we have Artificer's Curse. Target one magic item within 25 feet plus 5 feet every 2 caster levels, and reduce the item's caster level by your caster level. Competence, deflection, enhancement, insight, luck, morale, natural armor, profane resistance, or sacred bonuses that are applied. That bonus is reduced by 1 for every 4 caster levels the item loses, becoming completely suppressed if the item's caster level reaches 0. This lasts 1 minute per caster level and doesn't affect artifacts. That doesn't affect artifacts part. That's not the big deal here. The big deal is that you have Dispel Magic, Greater Dispel Magic. You have many other means of reducing an item's effectiveness without having to spend a 7th level spell slot to temporarily reduce the item's effectiveness, potentially suppressing it. You have better ways of going about this. I mean, it's a neat idea, but and it's just one magic item as well. I mean, one magic item, if it's a significant item, that would be cool, but significant items are going to be some pretty high-end magic items or potentially an artifact. So the fact that this doesn't affect artifacts puts it right out, and you just have much better options at this point. Artificer's Curse, definitely worth skipping over, unless of course your DM's willing to work with you to adjust this a bit, to make it less than, to make it have some kind of actual cursed effects, like making the bonuses produce the inverse, reducing natural armor, decreasing, applying an unlucky penalty instead of a luck bonus, anything like that. That would be kind of a cool change. That would make this much more interesting. I mean, by comparison, it's like, you already get the point. But of course, there are plenty of other spells at 7th level that are awesome, good, and even just kind of okay. Okay, unless they get into a very niche situation, in which case they could explode in their usefulness. Or, again, like I mentioned earlier, with just a little bit of clever gameplay and some imagination on your part. But of course, what do you think? Go on down to the comments below and let me know your thoughts. Did you like today's video? Did you dislike it? What other spells at 7th level might you recommend for your fellow spellcasters out there, be they arcanists, wizards, or sorcerers? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you've made it this far, you must have enjoyed something, so why not go down there, hit the subscribe button, and become a regular member here at the Gamers Den. But with all that said, I've been your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. Thank you all so very much for your time. Good gaming to you all, and you all have yourselves a good night.